All right, let's get into novations. Okay. So novations, I should probably I don't want to give you guys too deep into the weeds, but who doesn't, maybe pop it into the chat or raise your hand. Who has never heard of what a novation is or has really no idea where to start? And that's okay. Like there's like 5 new people in here. Elizabeth, good. Elizabeth is a brave one. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Ryan? Cool. All right. Bill's pretty new to him. Okay. Oh, good. Here it is in the chat. So this will be helpful for you guys. So let me give you a high level and see if I can do it in 30 seconds. Maybe a minute and a half. So a novation. Well, I think it'll make more sense when I walk through what it kind of the framework and what makes a good novation. But essentially, when you do a novation, you are telling the seller that, hey, if I get you X price and you let me list it and do all the marketing for the house, put it on the MLS. That's one of the big kickers is you want to be able to market it on the MLS. For example, I'm going to talk to Bill now, right? So Bill is selling his house and Bill needs to get at least 200,000. Well, maybe the ARV on this house is only 250,000. So buying it for 200 is probably not a big enough margin to wholesale it. So by the time you pay agents and do everything, there's maybe not enough spread because let's do the math here. So on that example, Bill wants 200,000. If you divide 200 divided by 250, that's 80%, right? When we wholesale or we're trying to buy a cash offer, we typically want to be buying it 70% or less, right? So 80% is getting a little high, but it's still doable. And there's still money to be made. So I would tell Bill, hey, if Bill I think I could get you your 200,000, but if I do that, would you be okay if would you allow me to do some marketing on the house? And you guys will see when I go through the steps of how I kind of walk the seller through. But essentially, you're going to get permission from the seller to market the house on the MLS and wherever you need. And then you got to be very clear with the seller that, hey, if I sell this thing for 250 or whatever I think I could sell it for, are you okay if I make the difference? And typically sellers are like, yeah, I just got to get my 200, right? So what you do is you enter into a novation contract, which is very similar to another purchase contract. There's just, there's a couple more there's one more, I'm not going to get too deep into the documents today, guys, because I actually did, if you guys go into our vault, or you go to that problemstoprofits.com, you'll be able to go see a novations. And we talk about the resources. If you go into that vault, you'll be able to see the episode where I talked about novations, and I share the exact paperwork and contracts and everything you need. Because if you're wanting to do a novation, you're probably like, oh, crap, where do I get the paperwork? How do I do the contracts, right? So today is not going to be contract day. If you need that, go to problemstoprofits.com. But what today is going to be is actually how to work and mechanically do it. So I went way more than a minute and a half, but to summarize, a novation is a deal when you want to be able to market the property, but you're not going to close on it until you actually go and flip and sell it, right? Or you're going to find your end buyer and you're very transparent. And the key kind of difference between this and a wholesale is on a wholesale, you typically can't list that property on the MLS because you're not the owner, right? But on a novation, what we do is we sign an attorney in fact. That's one of the contracts I was telling you guys about that I'll give to you as a resource. But we sign an attorney in fact, which allows us to list the property on the seller's behalf. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep on it, but is that enough of a high level one? And I'm sure I'll let you guys ask some more questions. Feel free to ask them now, but I think when I go walk through these steps, it's going to make a lot more sense for you. Let me check the questions though. All right. Beats me. Sounds fancy. I like it, Steven. Okay. How can I list on the MLS if I'm not an agent? Okay. Ooh, Jeff, I'm going to get to that is a great question. And by the time I run through this, you should, if you still don't know it, please remind me, because that literally parlays into exactly how I run this process. Because I'm not an agent, right? But the beauty of this process is this is how I work with agents. And this is why agents will go give me comps and will help go walk properties. And this allows me to, guys, I live here in Houston. I have 250 properties up in Wyoming. We're going to do, next year, our goal is to do 100 flips across the country. And the way I do that is because I lean on agents who are my boots on the ground. And you guys are going to see that why novations is a key part of that. Is the revive method you use a variation of novation? Yes. So the revive method is very similar to a novation, but on a revive method, we actually change the deed because we're going to go put a bunch of money into it. One of the key parts to a novation is you don't want to go put too much money in. If you got to catch up a couple payments, or maybe you got to go pay for a cleaner or a handyman, My threshold is $10,000. Like, I'm not going to go put more than $10,000 into a novation because there is still some risk because I'm not on the deed, right? I still have to have that seller show up and sign, right? Even if it's under contract, I never want to have to sue somebody for performance, right? Meaning I have to sue them to go sign the deed so I can sell and flip my house. Okay. So the revive method is a variation to where you're going to go put more than $10,000 in but it's similar in a way, right? Because on a revive, you're going to pay them when the house sells. So it's very similar here, right? But a novation is a much faster one. It's meant for something that's going to happen much faster. And it's not meant for a big renovation, right? Good question. What types of homes does this work best on? Yeah, Bill. All right, Bill, I think you teed it up perfect. Let's jump in. It's almost like Bill was reading my notes up here and knew exactly what I was going to talk about. Good job, Bill. All right, cool. Let me shift this over here so you guys can keep hearing me. All right. So I'm going to walk through here and walk through this whiteboard, and I want to walk through. So before I go here, guys, these are the 5 kind of like check boxes that you want to check to see if it is the right property for a novation per Bill's question. All right. So here we go. Let me swap over here. All right, cool. So hopefully you guys can kind of see that. That's a little bit of a glare. How's the glare? Can you guys read my handwriting? Okay. All right. So we're going to start with the first question is there an agent involved? Is this property listed? Okay. So for everybody doing the No One Left Behind challenge and doing the LOI blaster to agents, if it is listed currently, you're going to have to cross out novation. It's not going to work good. All right. The answer to this, is there an agent? We need the answer to be no. Okay. Now that said, I have seen some deals where it was previously listed and now it's no longer on the market. Then it would be a good option, right? But as you guys are going to see, the whole benefit of a novation is I'm going to go list the property myself, right? Or I'm going to use my agent to list it. But if it's already listed, our value proposition, it's not going to be helpful. So that is first and foremost. Make sure that it is not listed, okay? Any listed properties, I mean, it can be done, but it is a needle in the haystack. Not very probable, okay? Number 2, timeline, all right? I'm actually going to switch back. I think this will be a little bit better on this view for you guys, okay? All right. Okay, we're back in. So, because you guys can still see all my notes up here, right? Everybody, how hard is it to see? Can you read it? Can you guys read agent? Okay. I'm gonna pop this over here a little closer here to show you guys. And then when I go into the next 5, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, okay? So back to novations. The first question you got to ask yourself, is this a good novation? Well, you're gonna go through all 5 steps to figure out, could this deal be a good novation, right? Number 1 question is there an agent involved, right? If there's an agent involved and it's already listed, then it's a no-go, right? But if it's not listed, you're golden, okay? First easy one to go through. Next one is timeline. If your seller needs to sell this house in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, a novation is not going to be helpful. We're typically going to want like 60 to 90 days, all right? 60 to 90 days is ideal for a novation, okay? I mean, if we can get 120 days, even better. But you need to be working with somebody that that is not about to, if they're going to be foreclosed on in 2 weeks, this is not going to work, okay? But even 30 days could be done, but that's really tight. I would not recommend it, all right? 60 to 90 is our kind of hot sweet spot, all right? Next thing is access, okay? So the perfect property for a novation is a vacant property, all right? If it's vacant, man, that just made our life super easy to go do a novation, all right? So those are the best. But have I done novations where there are people in it? All the time, okay? But typically, you're going to have to figure out, could they go live with their in-laws? Could they move to their next house? Can they go somewhere? Because a novation that has people in it is going to be difficult, all right? Can it be done? Yes. So, and that's why I framed it up as access. If they are in the house and they have nowhere to go, can you still do a novation? Yes, you can, but that's when you got to start to set expectations of, okay, guys, to do this, you could still live in the house, but I'm going to need to bring people through the house. Okay. We're going to have to work on showings. Okay. And it's all about how you present that. Okay. And you got to be really careful here when you're presenting this, if it is occupied by somebody, because you want to differentiate yourself between you and an agent. Because you guys I'm surprised nobody's asked this yet. Why would somebody not just go sell it with an agent? Why would they sell it to you? Well, one of the big pieces is we can lock in a price, right? And I say lock it in. We set up these contracts to where if we can't move it at that price, we're transparent with the seller. I'm like, hey, back to Bill's example, right? Bill wants 200,000 for his house and it's worth 250. I tell Bill, you know what, Bill, I think I can get this deal done. I'm going to market this property for you. I'm going to spend all my time and I really think I can get you 200. And if I get you 200, Bill, would that work for you? And Bill's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, good. But I'm not guaranteeing. I'm not saying, Bill, I will buy this no matter what in 60 to 90 days. I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm saying, Bill, I feel very strongly we can get this done. And I'm going to go spend a bunch of my time and my team's resources. And I'm going to spend money on marketing. And if I can't sell for 200, we all lose. All right. No one makes any money. So I'm not going to waste my time. That's one of my big ways when I'm kind of pitching this and they're like, well, you could just walk away in 60 days. Well, yes, but I'm not here to waste my time and I'm going to be spending time and resources to help you. So anyway, that's kind of a key point that I try to make with them. And then the other piece is when we're talking about like, why would they not just go list it with an agent? A lot of times there's some issues with condition, right? So that's why I put down here condition. All right. If maybe the house is just really gross and dirty, right? And just a good $500,000 cleaning would make this house sell for more, right? So often I'll say, hey, you know what? If you can get out of the house, I'm going to pay for the cleaning. I'm going to pay for some minor repairs. And then we can get Bill's house sold. So if Bill's in his house right now, I'm like, Bill, I need to get you, first off, to make this work, I really need you to move out and see if can you move in with your brother or sister or heck, could you even go rent for a couple months? Because if you can get out of the house, I'm going to get a cleaner in there and I'm going to make some repairs and I'm going to get this house ready to sell. Right. So that's kind of our value proposition is we try to bring some value other than just like going and listing it like an agent. Right. The other piece is I tell them, hey, I'm not just putting it on the MLS, but I'm going to share it with all the rest of my network. Right. Because I work with a lot of other investors who don't have time to be hunting down deals all day long. So those guys are going to go be looking at this and I might just sell it to them. I might, you know what, Bill, I keep using Bill as my example. Bill, I might sell this I might take it down myself. I might actually partner with one of my partners and do this deal together. Right. So this is how I kind of differentiate myself between they could just go list it on the market. Right. And just faster, more professional. And then closing costs. The other thing too, is it's like, I keep using Bill's name. Let's pick on somebody else. All right. So let's say it's, so Steven's got his video on. So Steven, let's say it's your house that we're buying for 200. I'm telling Steven that, hey, you know what, Steven, you're going to net 200, right? Because people, when they're selling their house, they don't know how much, there's no guarantees, right? And they're not sure how much they're going to get. And it's really complicated with the commissions and all this stuff and repairs. And I just tell Steven, I'll be like, Steven, you're going to make a little bit less potentially, but if you knew you could make 200,000 and I could cover all the rest of the costs to where literally at the end of the deal, Steven, you're netting 200,000, would that work for you? And you guys would be surprised how many people are like, you know what? Yeah, if I get my 200,000, I can make it work. And then I'll show you guys how to back into all those numbers and make sure it works. Okay. So back to my kind of 5 checklists. We checked on access, right? The other thing we need to do is talk about price. And I've been weaving this in the whole time anyway, right? So you got to know their number, right? And this is all about, we talk about MAO and LAO. Does anybody remember what max allowable offer is? Or anybody remember the difference between max allowable offer and lowest acceptable offer? I'm going to put this down here. LAO, all right? And then we also have I'm not sure if that's too low. MAO, okay? Typically, everybody runs numbers off max allowable offer. That's the maximum allowable offer. That's the max you could pay. So they say, I could pay 70% of the value minus repairs, right? Cool. Yep. Caden's got it. So the lowest, max allowable offer. The LAO is the lowest acceptable offer, right? So what that means is, what is the lowest number the seller could take that would solve their problem, right? And this is all about, I didn't write this all out, but if you guys have seen my appointments, it's all about building rapport, understanding motivation, right? So if you truly connect with this person, then you can help solve the problem for their LAO, right? We want to focus on what is their lowest acceptable offer. Because if you know their lowest acceptable offer, for example, Steven, I know he needs to get 200,000 because he's got to go have enough cash to buy his new house, pay off his credit card, and send his kids to college, right? To do that, he needs 200,000 because I found out all that by building rapport, knowing his motivation. So that is his lowest acceptable offer. Then I can go to Steven and be like, okay, now I know Steven needs 200K, right? So that's my price, right? But anyway, in this part, you're going to do some pre-negotiating. And when I say pre-negotiating, it's mainly just getting to know the seller. Honestly, how are you solving their problem? Okay. So again, I'm going to put pre-negotiating in LAO. That's the big part of the price. Okay. And then I already kind of talked about condition, right? When you're figuring this first out, you need to understand condition. Are you walking into a house that is pretty much turnkey, ready to go? Are you walking into a house that has a terrible pet smell, or you walk into a house with a hole in the roof? Like, you got to know what you're walking into, because typically Novation is going to be really good for stuff that's pretty close to being marketable, right? I mean, that said, you could totally do a fixer upper and do a Novation. You could take a house that is a complete mess and be like, hey, you know what? Let me clean this place up and put it on the market and try to sell it. Okay. So any questions? I'm going to go to the questions. So far, but again, these are the 5 things that I want on the very first phone call. I want you to be able to answer all these 5. And if you go through these 5 and there's no agent, they're flexible on timeline, they are flexible on access, you get their price. Again, the condition is more just understanding it. If you can get all that on the first call, then you're ready for a Novation. And the next thing I'm going to show you guys is 5 different things that we want to gather, or 5 different next steps. But before I go to the 5 next steps after the initial call, I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions. Okay. Yep. So back to Bill's question, vacant off market is best. Yep. That's the criteria. You got it. Okay. Could I use an executory contract for Novation? You could, Ephraim, but let me think about that. And the executory, yeah, you could. You know what? But it's way simpler, right? The executory contract, you're going to go through a third party, sign the deeds. You know what? Honestly, Ephraim, the executory contract might be better for the revive method if you're putting like money into the property. But if you're not going to put a bunch of money into it and all you're going to do is clean it up, then I probably wouldn't bother with an executory contract, because it's just, I think it's just going to make it a little more complicated. But can it be done? Yes. Good question. All right. Make sure I got all these other ones. Michael's question: what if the agent is willing to inlet if the one was repost after done right? Okay, Michael, I can't. Maybe repost that one, Michael. I can usually decipher through.
Can I just ask it real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So basically, my question was, if the owner has an agent and it's listed already, can you still do a novation if they were to agree to the novation and take it off the market with an agreement saying that they'll be the one to relist it after you do what you do and you go to sell it?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep. So that could work, right? But typically, like, a novation proposition is based on, like, they haven't. And you know what? The other thing I didn't highlight is a lot of times these sellers, they don't want to deal with an agent, right? A lot of times the value of a novation is, I don't have to deal with an agent. I don't have to deal with all these showings. I don't have to negotiate and deal with all these headaches, right? I want to press the easy button. I want to just, you manage all that for me, Casey, right? So that's part of it. But if they're already listed with an agent, yeah, there would have to be some value add you're bringing, right? Because what are you bringing that they don't already have? And if that's just, because again, if it's listed, here's the other part about if it's listed on the market, right? If it's listed on the market and it's not selling, there's obviously an issue, right? So honestly, guys, they're always better to just drop the price, right? Because for you to get paid on it, I mean, yeah, you could bring them a cash buyer or another investor. That's really the only value you're bringing, right? Unless you're like, hey, let's pull this off the market. I'm going to go pay to clean this thing up, and we're going to relist it, and this is going to be the price we get you, right? That could be a sell, but again, it works for the revive method, right? If there's a lot of value add, or if there's some stuff that you could go in and do, and now all of a sudden this house would be worth 30,000 more, then 100%, Michael, that's a great idea. Pull it off the market. Tell the other agent that, hey, once I fix this up, you're going to relist it. That could totally work, right? But that means that there's a lot of work done, and I would not do a novation. I would do our revive method or use an executory contract to where you're protected once you put that money in. Good question. All right. Let me go make sure I get all these in here. Yep. What's the lowest? Caden got our LAO. Cool. And thanks, Ashley, for adding in the LAO. Okay. All right. So sounds like you guys got a good feel for what is the criteria, what type of house we're doing a novation on, and what does the very first call look like? What do you talk about? Okay. So now let's talk about what are we doing? Like, let's say that you checked all the boxes, right? That it's not listed. They got a flexible timeline. They're good with it. They're going to give you access. They don't mind it's vacant, or at least they'll give you access. You kind of figured out their rough price, right? And you know the rough condition, okay? So now, here is the very first step, okay? Over here, number one. You guys can hopefully see this, all right? So, number one is we're going to send out an LOI as fast as possible, right? Because I went through all this. I talked about price. I figured out what their lowest allowable offer was, all right? And I'm basically going to send an LOI. And in my LOI, it's very, very, very simple. Okay. This LOI is just going to basically be like, for example, I'm going to give you 200,000. But who else could I pick on here? I'm going to go to Elizabeth. Elizabeth's got her video on. Appreciate it. So Elizabeth, we're going to buy your house for 200,000 and we're going to close in 60 days. And all I'm going to do is send them that. It's a very simple LOI. And that's a template, guys, I'm happy to share with you. As I mentioned, it's on my problemstoprofits.com. Go to our passive investing playbook and you'll get access to it, right? But I'm going to send a very simple LOI, right? And I want to send that out ASAP. Before I send out an agent, before I go through all that hassle, like I want to know, like, is this an acceptable term, right? And you may have gotten that far on this call to where, like, I mean, if you're really good, you're like, hey, man, if I send you this LOI, do you think you could make it work? Jennifer, at 200,000, if I can close in 60 days, would that work for you? And often they're going to need to think about it, right? So that's when, and almost everybody's going to want it in writing. So that's step one. Generate the LOI, send it out. And guys, it'll take you 5 minutes. If you use my template, it's literally 5 minutes. Go ahead, Bill.
So you send that LOI out like right away. If they're hedging, if they're like, well, I'm not sure, just send it to them. Okay, got it.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, because now it's tangible, right? Now they got something in writing, and now your offer becomes something real. And again, the way I set up my LOIs, guys, is it's got a lot of credibility built in. I've got my company name, my website. I've got YouTube videos from former sellers. It definitely legitimizes your offer. I don't know if I said that right. Good question. Brandon, did I ever answer your question? You got your hand up still. Brandon, did I ever answer your question? Or did you just have a deal you want me to call?
Yeah, I was just fixing a sign on a lease option. I was just wondering about best exit strategy so I don't have to stay up late at night worrying what they're damaging.
Yeah. Signing a lease with option. What would be the best exit so I don't have to worry about the damage or bailout? Okay. So if you're signing a lease with option, what would be the best exit so I don't have to worry about if they damage or bail out? Okay, so to clarify, Brandon, are you saying that you own the house or you bought it sub 2 and now you're going to do a lease to own with somebody else?
Correct.
Okay. And you're just saying, the best exit. So I see what you mean. Like, yeah, you could do a formal wrap, right? But you can also, I would just get a deposit, right? And just make sure that you get a big enough deposit that it'll cover your damages. That's what I would do.
For sure. Yeah, I got 9,400 up front, but I was trying to probably wrap it so it would be someone else to do with, and I would never do it again, probably.
You bet. Yep. Yeah, you bet, Mike. I'm going to get to these calls. They're starting here in 10 minutes, so I better keep rolling. Okay, good questions. Did you have another quick one, Bill? If so, I can answer.
Yeah. Just I'm up here in New England, so it's going to have all your other deals that are around. Some of them are out west. A lot of them are out west. But if I get somebody around New England, this should still work, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Yeah, I actually haven't heard of any states that's not work. I shouldn't say that, but I haven't, not to my knowledge, I don't know of anywhere this doesn't work in the U.S.
That's cool. All right.
Yep. The
All right.
paperwork
No
might be
problem.
slightly different state to state as far as like your attorney in fact and some of that, but yeah,
Okay.
but it can be done. And I'm happy
Good.
to help like one-off questions there too. Okay. So we'll keep it rolling, guys. So first one, send out the LOI, right? Because once you send out the LOI, that's going to give us some feedback, right? Because once we send that, that's really going to get the conversation going. And now you're going to know, because a lot of times they're going to come back and be like, man, I just can't make this thing work at 200,000. Or maybe if the number was 200, you send your LOI out for 180 and see if they bite, right? But at least when you send out this LOI, you're going to get feedback, right? And I mean, like you're going to start negotiating. You're going to start really talking numbers. If you didn't get too far talking numbers on the first call, send an LOI, and then we can start negotiating, right? Okay, so right after that, now, once you've gotten feedback and you know where you're at, now this is the point I want to go get my agent out here. So, right, so now this is basically when we're going to send out agent. Okay. Now, if you live in the town, great. But I would venture to guess that 90% of the people on this call and in this community are calling and doing deals in a market they don't live in, right? That's just the beauty. That's the beauty of this, right? So a lot of you guys are probably asking, how the heck am I going to do a novation somewhere I don't live? Well, this is where it comes into play, right? Now, so I'll give you guys an example. We've had novations in other areas, like up in Dallas, for example. Just this week, we had a deal that I called on Problems to Profits last week. Ashley helped me out with this one. And the sellers, it was off market. Okay, here's I guess I should have gave you this hypothetical the whole time. Okay. So the guy wants, if you guys could see the bottom down here, he was listed around, you know what? He was actually, okay, this is the one-off example when it is listed, right? But he didn't have an agent. He paid a flat fee broker. He paid him like probably $200 to get it on the MLS, right? But he's not marketing it. He's not really doing a whole lot. So it's like, hey, I got to talking to him, and on the call, he told me, Casey, and I sent him out an LOI, right? So on the call, he said he wanted 800K, okay? So he wants 800K. So now I got to figure out, is there enough? Because now I've got a number, right? I've gotten my feedback. I know the number is 800K. Now I got to figure out, does that even work? And I need to get out of the house and verify condition, right? I talked about condition, but I need to go see it. So that's when what I did this week is I went to the sub two community. I'm like, hey, does anybody know a good agent in Dallas, Fort Worth? And obviously big market like that, there's plenty of them, right? If you're in a smaller town, you might not be able to find somebody in sub two. And I would just get on good old Google and go find an agent in that area and just say, hey, would you be willing to go walk this house and give me some comps and give me a value? Because if so, I would like to have you list it. And do you guys think there's a lot of agents out there? If you called them up and said, hey, I want to give you a listing, will you go look at this house for me? Do you think they do it? Absolutely, right? And now you're actually giving them, versus what's harder to do is when you want to agent, you're a wholesaler and you're like, hey, agent, will you go check out this house for me? And there's no value, right? But you're giving them value. You're potentially giving them a listing. So you can get agents to do this all day, right? Because the opportunity of a listing is a big opportunity for them, right? Now, again, I want to be respectful of my agent. And that's why I already took steps 1 and 2 before I send my agent. Because what I don't want to do, a good way to get a bad name and honestly just frustrate a lot of people, is to just send them, just as soon as you get through the first call, send out the agent. And you know what? We do that sometimes, right? With agents that I've worked with and know me, and they know that some deals aren't going to work out. But ideally, you send the LOI out, you get some feedback before you send that agent, and do your best to do your homework on, is this a deal or not, right? But if you know that, for example, I know this guy, he wants 800,000. So therefore I felt the confidence to go call the agent, send him over the house. And now, so that's the next step, is next step number 4, right? So now, again, this literally happened this week in Dallas. Agent went out there, we get on a group text, and he's telling me, now we're going to go review. So we're going to confirm the numbers, okay? All right, now this is when we really dive deep into underwriting. And guys, this is actually what prompted this entire call, because I was working with Mike Van Maren and some other people on my No One Left Behind team. And then they're just kind of like, we're doing all these deals and we're looking at all these things and spending all this time on underwriting. And I'm like, guys, you do want to understand kind of rough numbers of what it's worth, but we don't need to go do a detailed underwriting until we know that, like, we sent out an LOI, we've gotten some feedback, we know their number, right? At that point, now let's go dive a little bit deeper. Now let's send out the agent and get the number, all right? And then let's get together with the agent and let's confirm that the numbers work, right? But you see how because if not, you could go do a bunch of work, a bunch of underwriting, make the agent go pull a CMA, give you a full condition report. You could do all that stuff and you might not even be close, right? So that's why I've built out this process to where you know that at least we know that they've got some motivation to sell, right? So once we get to this step, that's when we're confirming the numbers. And then finally, we'll move to the contract, right? Because we've seen the house, we've verified condition, we've got the comps. We now feel like, all right, there's money to be made on this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get on a call with the seller. We're going to carefully walk him through this contract so he understands that, hey, I'm going to need to do marketing on this house. I'm going to need to have people see it. This might take longer than 60 days. You want to make sure you walk them through all that stuff. And then you walk them through the contract. And then once they sign it, they'll sign an attorney in fact, which is the contract I told you guys about earlier. And if you get all that signed, then boom, you're ready to go. You go back to that agent, get it listed on the market, and see if you can get it moved. All right. Let me go back to the questions here. Perfect. Hey, hey, Bia, thank you for introducing yourself. I love it when all the newbies come on. So great job there. If anybody else is new, feel free to pop it in the chat. I love seeing who's new. Okay. And man, we're getting more and more people hopping on here. So this is exciting. Okay, Bill. So you need to get the seller to confirm a sales number verbally, then send the agent. Yep, exactly. Bill, thank you for saying that. So sometimes I go fast. That's what I'm thinking in my head, but Bill summarized it beautifully. We want to know a number, a verbal number. Again, they haven't signed anything. They haven't signed a contract, but we want to have a verbal number from that seller before we typically go through this whole process of sending out an agent, right? And again, is there a chance they're going to back out and the number means nothing? Yes. But at least you've started to vet them and you've progressed in negotiation. How do you wholesale a novation? Good one, Michael. So here's the beauty, Michael. You don't need to, right? Why wholesale this thing? Because now you've done all the work, right? Like now, literally all you got to do is the agent is going to go wholesale it for you, right? Like literally the agent is now, and I didn't mention this earlier, but you're going to work in commissions into your numbers, right? Like this deal for $800,000, when I go get the comps back and I'll share the numbers. So this week when I did the deal in Dallas, I knew the seller gave me his number was, actually, let's do this really quick, guys, to illustrate this, okay? So my seller told me at this point, we got the feedback was $800K, all right? So now we go out there. You guys are going to like this. This is like perfect illustration. So agent goes out, our number from the seller is $800K, all right? We send out the agent. Hold on, I got to mute everybody. Okay, we're back. So they go out there. We got the number from the seller. Agent goes out there. My agent goes out there. And what she tells me, kind of once we run these numbers, is they said the ARV is $850,000. Okay. So there's not a ton of room in there, right? To go pay. I mean, 5% of 800,000 is 40K, right? At 5% of 800K is $40,000 in commissions, right? So that's a pretty thin deal. That means I'm making 10,000, which I don't think I think I would still do a deal to make 10, a novation deal where I have no risk and just time. I think that's still worth doing, right? We typically shoot for at least 20,000, right? But that's where I started to talk to the agent and I'm like, you know what? What if we did 4%, right? What if we give the seller side 4% and we give buyer side 4%? So now we're looking at 4 times 8 at 32K in commissions. But again, we haven't worked any closing costs in. Let's say it's 8K at closing costs. Anyway, now we're thinking about this could potentially work, right? But back to the original question, I don't need a wholesaler because if this agent's on board, he's going to get paid 2% or whatever. He's going to manage the listing. He's going to manage showings. and the offers and all that, just like a listed property. So, and you've got no risk, right? You're just going to wait until you go find a buyer on the MLS, or I also always recommend, if you have a buyer's list, send it out to your investor buyer's list and see if you could find somebody there, right? And then if you find them, you put it all together, you double close, or you do what we call an assignment where you replace yourself. I'm not going to get too much into the nitty gritty details of like novations and how you replace yourself at the end, but I just wanted to show you guys, like, how do you go from the initial call, screen it, see if it works, and then, all right, how do we actually get to the contract? Okay. Let me see what other questions you guys have. Why wouldn't the agent just deal direct with seller? Okay. Yeah. Again, you brought the deal. Good point. So you got to be careful the agent doesn't cut you out. They could, but yeah, I mean, you're right. If you had a shady agent, he could just go to that house and be like, hey, why don't you just list with me? Screw Casey. You don't need him. Just list with me, right? But that would obviously be the last deal I did with them, right? But typically it's a relationship thing, and they're like, they're getting a listing from me. Because again, a lot of the agents like working with me because of all the deal flow and all the marketing I'm doing, right? I'm sending out direct mail, texting, calling, Facebook ads, Google ads, right? Our website, we're constantly radio and even TV ads. We do all this stuff to get deals, right? So now by me getting these deals, I'm creating more listings for these agents. So they love working with me, right? Because they're getting more volume, right? So they typically won't try to screw you out of a deal essentially there. But you're right. Do they need you? No. But you're the one finding the deal. Good question. Likely since wrap the deal first. I'm going to go back to Steven's question, okay? Likely since we wrapped up the deal first in this scenario, and you're sending an RE agent to have the relationship with. Yeah, that's
the question. I think I got it right.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I think you're right there, Steven. So basically, you're trying to get as much as you can. And then the other thing too, you know what? I didn't mention that, Steven. I have a lot of agents who are just great agents, and they go and further build upon the relationship. Because I'll tell you this, when you're trying to buy virtually, and even though they trust you, they're still going to be skeptical, right? Like, I want to see this person. I want to shake their hand, right? So if you have a good agent, they can go there, build some trust. And the nice thing is, you're at that point, you're handing everything off to that agent as far as working with the seller, working with showings, all the communication. The way I run it is typically from that point on. You know what? I'll make sure I get the contract done and all that goes through me. But once we're under contract, everything is handed off to the agent. But luckily, the agent already built a little bit of a relationship. Cool. Or just buy the dang thing yourself if it's 70%. Yeah, you're right, Bill, if you could. But typically, novations are a great tool when we talk about like 70% of ARV you want to buy at, right? This allows you to buy from like 70 all the way up to like 90. Like this deal right here in Dallas, 800K divided by, that's actually higher than 90, right? It's really skinny, right? But you can go all the way up to 90% with novations just because you don't have any risk, right? As long as you disclose that, hey, there's a chance I can't get you the full 800. And if that's the case, then we all go our separate ways, right? And you just lost some time. Cool. Steve has got a good agent, North Carolina. Nice. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm telling you. So the other thing I haven't highlighted yet is by doing this has created an army of agents that I now have across. This allows me to buy across Wyoming and Montana because every time I get one of these novations, they get a listed, right? But it was kind of a struggle. This is a really good nugget for you guys that I've only learned this, guys, from doing this for 10 years. Right? When I first started working with agents and I was asking them to go out and look at deals that I was going to wholesale, when I wholesale that deal, they don't make any money, right? So that was just a complete waste of time, essentially, right? But if I fix and flip the house, then they list it. They like those, right? When I send them out to a deal that I'm going to fix and flip myself, I'll use that agent to list it on the back end, right? But if I wholesale it, they don't get paid, right? So it's kind of you've got to have a really good relationship and they've really got to understand what you're trying to do, right? But now when I implement novations into my business, guys, I would say out of 100 deals that our goal is to close 100 next year. We're going to probably close around 70 this year. I would say out of 70, we probably at least half of them are novations, right? So literally there's just so many more deals that these agents are going to actually make money on. So now they're that much more excited when I send them a deal. Or maybe, and again, the other nice part about this, guys, is there's plenty of deals where I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a deal, but I think it's still worth your going. And I think it's still worth your time. Guys, because here's the other thing is when you're working with that agent and you're going direct to seller, is there's a lot of these deals where it just simply won't work. Novation won't work, and paying them 50% or 70% of value won't work. They just truly need to list their property, right? And in those scenarios, you can get a referral fee for giving them to an agent, right? What I do is I don't even take a referral fee usually, because those agents work so hard for me and they vet so many deals for me that if there's something that is just truly the best fit of those, if I really truly just need to cut myself out to help the seller, I'll do that to go help my agent, right? Cool. I'm already moving over in time a little bit, but let's see. Let me make sure I ask all the questions. Yes. Yeah, Bill, good point. So yeah, if you're in a market that's going up quickly, yeah, it's actually a great, you know what? Yeah, the people who were doing this like 3 or 4 years ago when things were going bananas and prices were going way up, yeah, you could have novated almost everything just because the way prices were going up. It's a good point. But right now, it's definitely more challenging. All right, cool. Let me go. I'm going to guess really quick because I know I got Steven written down and I've got Elaine. Let me make sure I'm not late for one of my calls. Because I know we teed them up starting at 11. I'm going to guess we already are, but let's go check it out. Oh, wait, 12:13. Oh, you know what, Ashley? So I think I'm probably just going to be calling on my calls from yesterday, right? Mike asked about it. Mike, do you have some deals? Did you put some deals in the spreadsheet? Or you got some ready for us today, Mike? Mike Road?
Number 4.
Number 4. All right. Let me go find that one. Is that online? Let me go find that one.
It's on Ashley's sheet for today.
Okay. 12:13. What is the address of that one? I'm struggling to find it, but unless
1061 North 10th, I believe. It's in Philadelphia, but the Zillow link is in there.
okay. And I'm just in my spreadsheet. You know what? I could even share my screen. You know what? Let's share my screen with everybody so you guys could see how I do this. And you guys could put in deals next week. Maybe let's make sure we're looking at the same thing, Mike. Sure, we could solve this quickly. And then Elaine, I'm going to go to yours right after this one with Mike. And then we'll go to Steven next. All right. Okay. All right. Real quick. So this is the 12:13 one, and I didn't have any set up just yet, but I'm guessing it's in a different tab. Do you know what tab it's in, Mike?
Casey, try the link I sent you.
Try the what?
I set it up last night on 12:13 for today's Zoom.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
it looks
Ashley,
like the whole thing was filled out.
Yes, I think I'm in the wrong link. Where's the link at, Ashley, you said?
I texted to you.
Okay, perfect.
She's good that way.
Yeah, that's right. Johnny on the spot. I don't know how I got the old version. All right. Okay, I swore I saw it today too, and it was full. There it is. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. So today, 12:13, Mike Road. There it is. Okay, cool. Do I have it 11? Okay, I did have one for Judy too, with no one left behind. Okay. Awesome, guys. All right, so this is where we're going next, guys. We're going to start. Who out there who's ready to start calling some leads, working some problems? You guys ready? We got a full jam-packed. My voice is already.
There were 3 ahead of me, so that's why I was number 4.
Okay, I'll make sure we get to you. All right, cool. Hey, but I do want to give, Elaine has been patient. So Elaine, you want to, if you're still on, the floor is yours, Elaine. I'm going to let you bring up that RV park unless you had to run. Did we lose Elaine? Okay, well, Elaine, if you come back on, let me know. Yep. Let me know if you come back on there. Will you guys do me a favor? You see Elaine pop in? Let her know. Or Ashley, if you see her, we'll make sure we get her on. Okay. And then, but Steven, I'm going to let Steven go there too. Steven had a question Did I answer your deal, or did you want to dive into that one real quick, Steven?
Sure. Thanks for taking the time.
You
So,
bet, man.
My wife and I moved here into North Carolina from Colorado. So we purchased a home in Lake Lure, and not long, like a year-ish after moving in, we left Lake Lure and moved to Franklin, a couple hours away. And we turned our original house into a short-term rental.
Okay.
We've got tired landlord syndrome. We didn't get quite the numbers we were looking for, and it's been a heartache trying to get it managed well. So we were thinking of exit strategies or trying to optimize the short-term rental we have.
Got it. Nice, man. Where's the short-term rental at right now?
In Lake Lure, like a fishing lure,
Okay.
North Carolina, which the side effect there as well, Hurricane Helene went through and wiped out the downtown area like completely. So
Wow.
they're rebuilding the town that we live in, or we rent.
Okay. All right, man, that's a bummer. But okay, so you're just tired of. Tell me more. What is it? Just you're tired of the management, um, or not profitable enough?
Kind of all the above. So we're
That's
actually decently all right with our current property manager. We went through 2 or 3 others before them, but they're taking 20% for their services.
okay.
It's been draining our income because we haven't gotten the right balance yet between occupancy, daily rates, and the payouts to everybody else.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It could be expensive that way. Awesome. So are you literally losing money on it, or just breaking even, or not profitable as much as you wanted?
It depends on your time frame. So
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the year and a half it's been up, we're certainly losing money. It's putting us in the hole quite a bit.
Got
And
it.
in the recent time frame, we had like 6 months with a midterm renter, and it was actually doing well, except then we kept having problems. Had to treat the well, pump the septic, fill the heat tank, trees fell down from the storm, yada yada.
Got it. Nice. And how much equity do you have in it? Like, what's it worth now, and what's the loan amount?
There's again, I don't know how the comps and what the market's doing because most of the town just got wiped out. But last I had a reasonable estimate, we were trying to potentially see like 450, 475 seemed realistic on MLS approach. And right now we owe about 330.
Got it. Okay. So it's like, okay, so your main question is, yeah, any ideas or suggestions on whether to sell it or keep it or tweak your management to
Right.
hold it?
And partner with somebody that has some cash flow or money available that might do a fix and flip, enhance it somehow, or partner in
Yeah.
and take over like the running of it perhaps, and for less.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that might be it too. Yeah, that's probably a better way and what's your monthly mortgage on it?
It's stupid right now. It's 2779 and about almost 300. It's like 250 of that is a shortage because taxes and insurance went up.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And your what was that medium term tenant? What were they paying per month?
It varied month to month. It's been through Airbnb, so it's about 5,200.
Oh, nice. But that 29,900, let's call it 2,800 is all in PI taxes and insurance, everything?
Yep.
Yeah, man. So that's my initial input is right now would be one of the worst times to sell it based on everything that's happened, as you mentioned. And I'm not saying you're planning to do that, but I would agree with you that don't sell it now. Wait, because it probably will rebound, come back. And yeah, I mean, the medium term is the best way so we do a blend of that on a lot of deals where we'll do medium term and then we'll put it on Airbnb because the medium term, you'll always have the gaps, right? Like you'll get somebody for 6 months and they move out. So then I'll pop it on Airbnb. So that works really good for us. And then, but I would you want to try to ideally not obviously cut out Airbnb on the medium term stuff. So we use Facebook, we use even Zillow, we'll use obviously Furnish Finder. We use a lot of those platforms to get the medium term stuff. So So those are some tips if you want to do it yourself. But yeah, I'd be happy to look at it from our team too, see if we could help you manage it. And also, I know I'm part of host camp with Rob Abasolo and know a lot of other operators. And honestly, yeah, I feel like there's a handful of them down in, I know at least one guy down in North Carolina. I'm not sure if they do all the parts of it, but would love to connect you with some people.
That would help. Thanks.
Yeah. And then, but ideally you'd like, yeah, because if you're giving 20% of the revenue out to them versus sounds like you'd be more down for like a profit share, like, hey, we got to cover the mortgage first and then everything after that.
Right. Yeah, I would. Because
Okay.
their 20% has literally been sucking every time there's been profit. Once you start seeing any kind of repairs or issues crop up, I get no profit, they get profit. Just doesn't.
Yeah. Oh man, but you're far away. That's the only thing is like, at least on everywhere I do STRs, I've got I've got some operations to be able to manage it. But it's for sure. SDRs are no joke if you're not, it's definitely a challenge to do that one long distance. But yeah, let me check on that. And maybe Steven, okay, Steven, I'll drop my email. Actually, I'll have Ashley do it for me. Drop my email, Ashley, in there. And then, yeah, let's stay connected and I'll see if I can find somebody.
Thank you.
Love to help you, man. No, it's a good one. I like it. That is our first STR MTR problem we've ever had on Problems to Profits, but it's what it's all about. So hopefully that encourages anybody else. Does anybody else, before I go to the other ones? I know Mary's got a question. Anybody else feel free to pop it in the chat if you guys have other questions like that. But hold on, try to bring you up while we're Elaine. Oh, okay. Is Elaine back? Cool. All right. I'm going to go to Mary. So I'm all over the place. Mary, go ahead. You get your hand raised.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to let you know, Stephen, I'm in Asheville and I'm trying to sell my own house. And it's been incredibly difficult to find the right numbers. I had my house up for sale 2 days before the hurricane hit, and I lost about $100,000 in equity. And I mean, I don't know how. My agent was here with her broker, who is also a general contractor, just to try to see how to price the house based on, I mean, it's just ridiculous. So if you want to, collaborate, or if you have anything where maybe I could help you, or maybe we could partner on something, more than happy to do that.
Sorry,
That's all I want to say.
Such a mess, and also
Yeah.
lost all those funds.
It's a mess,
right?
Yeah, it's a mess and it's ugly, and it's wintertime, so that doesn't help the housing market either. So I got you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've been there many times too, Steven, where you got these rental properties and it's like you go in seasons, right? We're like, oh, I hate this. This is miserable. But if you play the long game, the people are the ones that are fire sale it are the ones that lose, right? If you can hang on and make it through, it'll come back. So anyway, the little inspiration there. I've been there, man. Okay. I'm going to hop over to the calls unless, feel free to come off mute if you did hop back in here, Elaine. But I'm going to go through a couple calls, and I'm hoping, guys, on these calls that, I know some of them are going to be direct to agent for the challenge, but if I get a Novation opportunity, I'm definitely going to pitch it so you guys can see it. Okay. So, and this one this is from my No One Left Behind team. I always like to tell you guys, if you didn't make it into the challenge or your team ends up not forming or not getting going, I'm always looking for people who want to join our team. Ashley just shared my email. She could share it again, but if you're interested in joining our team, we've kept our original team going and we're always reloading. So if anybody's looking to be cold calling or booking appointments, or the other big benefit of my team is like, we're installing this thing I told you guys about at the beginning, where we give our team like real-time training, and every call they make, we're able to get their transcript and we're able to basically give them feedback like instantly on how they're doing. So it's a really good opportunity to kind of train and get better at calling. So anyway, I did want to mention that if anybody's interested. For example, Judy's been doing great. Judy brought us a deal the other day, guys. This was awesome. Judy found this deal off market. Or it's basically a lead that I go direct to seller, right? So it was an SEO lead, meaning somebody Googled, I want to sell my house fast. And these people were like, they only owe like $79,000 on the house, and they're like ready to walk away. And they're like, hey, if somebody just takes over this loan, the payment's $750. It's in Peoria, Ohio. And never been there, but But I'm like, 750 payment, taking over a $73,000 loan, we can do that all day. So we're actually just working through it right now because they're behind a couple payments and making sure that the loan's still like, we could still take over the loan. So anyway, just to give you guys an idea of like the deals that were like that. Judy's was in the No One Left Behind challenge and she's stuck around and she's doing a great job. So anyway, let's give him a call. So Judy, this call is in Council Bluffs, Iowa. All right, we're going to call this one. Oh, you know what? I say all that. We're getting behind. I probably should do another one, but I am going to try this one. Oh, you know what? I'm going to drop, actually, why don't, Ashley, can you drop the No One Left Behind Google Sheet? So what you guys could do, rather than me sharing all the information, we put all the information into this sheet so you guys can get a feel for, like, for example, this says Adam wants to sell his home. This is the seller. Was upgrading himself, but ran out of time. It's a 4-bedroom, 2 3/4 bath, wants to sell ASAP as he works in Texas every other week. Needs insulation installed in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Already has insulation there, but needs to be installed. Walls have been skin coated. This is incredibly detailed. Man, my contractors don't even give me this much detail on the scope. But bedroom downstairs with Jack and Jill. Adam installed vinyl plank flooring. All right, I'll kind of skip over all the details, but basically talked about everything he did. Roof needs some patchwork. Replace furnace. Holy cow, guys! If this is like a whole paragraph, you guys need to go to this Google Sheet once Ashley shares it. Okay, now let's talk numbers. Already got a quote for replacing the cement steps for $2,500. He's expecting about $127,000. So 127 is what he's wanting. According to Zillow, this is worth 173. Other homes are going between 184 to 195. ARV should be around 186. Man, Judy is a rock star. This is incredibly detailed. So let's call him. And after this one, we'll be going to Mike's lead. Seller's name is Adam.
Please leave your message for.
Hey, Adam, Casey Gregerson here, giving you a quick shout on the house in Council Bluffs. Hey, give me a shout back. I know you talked to Judy. She gave me some really good detailed notes about a bunch of the work you guys had done on it. But anyway, love to help you out. Give me a shout back. I'll be free for the next couple hours and love to chat. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. I probably should text him through my number, but I'm just going to keep moving through these calls. So, because here's the next one is with Stacy. Stacy booked this one. If you're on the call, good job. She's on No One Left Behind Team 98. This is Marissa Ann. And again, hopefully you guys can check out this Google Sheet and see everything I'm looking at. So the nice thing is, and again, guys, if you ever have any leads you want me to call during the week, you'll see different tabs in the spreadsheet. I know there's a lot of new people here, but if you see this is a very busy spreadsheet. But basically every day that I make calls, I basically put in these slots, right? Today is like jam-packed, filled up. But typically, if you look at next week, I'll be releasing my schedule for next week, but you guys can just slot any people you guys want me to call during the week. I'm happy to do. I basically did this, guys, because the No One Left Behind, I'm a closer and I was just getting slammed with people and leads to call, which is absolutely incredible. But this was the way we're keeping up with them. And the nice thing is I keep alluding to Ashley, but Ashley helps me manage this, helps me keep you guys looped in. And then we keep track of where all the leads are at on the spreadsheet. Okay. I'm not looking at questions. Sorry, guys, but I'm going to go call Keem 267. So I skipped a line. This is yours, Mike. Oops. It's all right. I'm 5 minutes early for once.
Oh.
Hey, Keem. This is Casey Gregerson giving you a call in that house in Philadelphia.
Yes.
You got a quick minute. Is that now still a good time for you? I'm a couple minutes early.
Yes.
All right. Cool, man. Okay. So you guys had this one listed for a little bit. Do you remember talking to Mike? Mike's on my team. He was the original one that called you.
No.
Okay. He said he talked to you. It might have been a while back, but
it was Todd.
Okay. Oh, sorry, it was Todd. All right. Sounds like it was somebody else. It was Todd. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You're on speakerphone, by the way. We're working this together. That's cool. All right. Awesome. So anyway, sounds like you were. Let me ask you this. Keem, have you guys had any other like creative offers? When I say creative, like somebody making payments over time, if you guys had any other offers like that? Okay. So ours is the first one. Got it. Got it. Well, I see kind of the motivation sounds like they're selling for divorce and they're just ready to get rid of it. Okay. Would you be, so what we kind of talked about was like 15,000 down and like a monthly payment in like a 7-year balloon. Like sorry, I'm just getting caught up to speed. Did you guys have a chance to present that to your seller, or you just, where are we at with that?
Yes.
Okay. Did they have any feedback so far?
No, not yet. She's looking for like the terms, like
okay.
She want to get it official, whatnot, and see if she could get it back to bring it back to her ex-husband to see if he approved. So
totally makes sense.
Motivated, but,
yeah.
He's in limbo. They don't know.
Yeah.
So she wants something like writings and like to run the numbers and whatnot. So that's what I need.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, yeah, I can kind of play with that. I'll be honest with you. We do a lot of these with like 2,500 to 5,000 down. And I know that's probably not ideal, but that allows us to basically try to get your full purchase price. And it also, I want to be able to pay your commission too. But do you think these people would be open to more like 2,500 to 5,000 down? If we could take over their payments quickly, but go ahead.
Maybe 10 at minimum, because I did present that offer. Like, so you sent out a soft offer of 15K.
Yep.
So I did present that, and she was interested in that, right? So now, like, if I pull back, I don't know how she would take it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, did she have any other? But sounds like she was open to it. That just like you said, the husband needed to. Yeah, we obviously got to get him on board, and I'm sure that's going to be a tricky one. I just pulled up the.
They talked, and he said that he's on board, but he just needs to see like the numbers.
Got it.
Everything is not official, right? Everything is just word by word right now.
Yeah, understood.
Right. So like he wants to see the numbers and everything.
Okay. Yep. And I pulled up the original LOI, so I'm looking at the same thing you guys originally saw. Let me ask you this though. So your guys' I want to make sure we have all the numbers kind of correct. So, cause yeah, that's the next step is I'm going to send you like a more detailed number so you can work with it. Do you guys I want to make sure the monthly payment, I don't see that anywhere. Do you know what their monthly mortgage payment is? Do you know that by chance?
$1,698.
$1,698. Okay. Got it.
You're talking about the PITI, right?
Yeah. Bingo.
Yeah.
$1,698. Okay. They must have a really good interest rate. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's super helpful. Okay. Yeah, that makes this definitely better for everybody. Okay. And then, yeah, I mean, because we kind of mentioned the 136,111 a month would be the payment. Because let me ask you this. You probably know the market even better than I do. Like, what do you think you could rent this place for? Like if we just wanted to, because that's my plan, to be transparent. Like, I'm a landlord and I own about 250 properties across the country. And that's what I would do on this one. But not everybody wants to be a landlord, right? So what do you think this would rent for?
23 to 25, depending if so it probably is located by Temple University. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Okay.
But so it's a big university. The main campus is like 5 minutes away. So you could like the exit plan could be like student housing or a co-living right by the room.
Okay.
Go that route so you could get like 23 to 25.
Got it.
But just for like long-term rentals, we like around 22.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, that's okay. So long-term, you think 2,200 conservatively? Long-term rent. Okay. But up to 23 to 25. If we kind of, yeah, I know what you mean. You could obviously squeeze a little bit more out as pad splitter or college students. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That makes it better. Yeah. So basically, if I take over the payment of $1,698, we make you a monthly payment of the. Did they? Okay, I'm actually just looking back at this offer. They didn't clarify how much we would pay them per month, but I have it in my notes that we talked about like $136 a month. Did you present that to them? Like what our payment would monthly would be to them? Okay. That's okay. All good. Well, that's totally fine. Yeah, because here's the kicker. I think let me say this, Keem. If I think I could keep the 15,000 down as long as like I can keep my monthly payment like super low. But we'll put, like we said, we'll do like a 7-year balloon. But if I can just take over that 1698 payment and I can rent it out for 2,300, I think I could make it work. But do you think? But it sounds like they're open to that.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to make this really simple on this LOI. I'm just going to say, hey, we're giving them full price. We're going to give them 15K down. Honestly, the 136 probably doesn't even matter. I'm probably just going to take that out of there. So we'll take over the full PITI payment, and then we'll basically pay what I call their equity, right? So let's say that I have it here that they owe like 275 and their asking is 400. So that'd be like 125,000 would just be paid at the end of the balloon. But I'm going to put this all on an LOI, but 340. Oh, okay. Wait, let me make sure yeah, I'm going off my 340. You're right. 330. Oh, sorry. I transposed it. Yeah, it's 330 now, not 399. Okay. Yep. You got it. Okay. So yeah, I think we could give the full purchase price. And again, we won't need an agent on it. Here's the only kicker is the commission. You're wanting to do 2.5. I'm just running some math here because I definitely would never advocate for you not getting paid because I want you to put this whole thing together for us or help us. So 329. I'm just doing 2.5%. That's $8,000. Okay. Yeah. 339. So a little over 8,000. That's what I'm just trying to think about because that's going to put us over 20,000 down. It might not be a bad idea to go with the 10K down, knowing that we're going to pay you about $8,000. Okay, that's what I'm kind of thinking. But do you have any other thoughts before I'm just going to put? So what I'm going to do, Keem, is put this all on an LOI. It's going to have a little bit about our company and links to us, and then it's going to be like purchase price, term, monthly payments, all that. You think that'll be? I mean, obviously it's not a full purchase contract, but I want to make sure that this works for them before we write it all up. And I'll put a closing date too. Like the nice thing is we can close pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. On the LOI, it does say that you're paying for the closing costs. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. That's the only thing is it about 1% of purchase price you see, ignoring commissions?
So Philadelphia is actually kind of weird because they have the transfer tax of like 1%.
Okay.
So in the traditional financing, right? Buyer and seller split that. So I don't know about creative finance. So in traditional buyer and seller split 2.2, 2.1 or something.
Oh, wow. So total, okay. So you're saying total closing costs is about 2.1% on most deals total?
Yeah.
Okay. So typically buyer and seller split. So each one pays about 1%.
I'm sorry. That's just the transfer tax.
Okay. Oh.
The closing cost is different too.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah. Because Philadelphia is very, they have the transfer tax.
Wow. Transfer tax is 2.1%. Okay.
Split between buyer and seller, so 2 and 1. Yeah.
Okay. You know what would be helpful? Can you just send me like an estimated cost of closing costs? You probably already ran it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to just text that to me or Todd, and then that way we can kind of know because I don't want to. What I would hate to do is say we can do all this and then we realize it's $20,000 in closing costs. I mean, the only other thought is if we do this, like, have you ever done like a contract for deed or executory contract? I'm not sure what they call it in Philadelphia. Have you ever done that? Yeah, you just use like a third-party escrow agent. That might be a way to get around all those closing costs.
Which would be better for her because of the dual and sell clause. That's one
Yes.
thing that we're also afraid of too. So if you could do it as a land contract or whatnot, I think that might be actually better.
Okay. I agree 100%. Okay. That'll
Also, does that mean that the stay on her name or you guys name?
Yeah. The way we do it, again, it's different state to state. Typically two deeds get signed, like a deed to us and then we call it a quick claim deed back to her. And then the escrow company holds both of them. Right. But technically, in terms of like what you're going to see at the county, it'll show that she is still the owner.
She's still the owner.
Yeah, exactly. But we will have full control and be fully responsible and all that. And then and obviously she'll get a down payment. And then you know what? The other thing is it protects her if something were to happen to us, she wouldn't have to go through like the foreclosure process, which is actually really advantage for her. She would
like on the email once you like can you give me more information on that, because I don't really know that much about it.
Yes, you bet. Yeah.
And how it will work out and what benefits her and whatnot.
Yeah. I can kind of summarize some of that on there for you. Okay.
So about this.
Okay. Yeah, let me do that. Sub 2 deal. Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of nervous, but we want this to work and whatnot,
Okay. Cool, man. Yeah, that sounds good. And you know what? I'm just talking this out loud, Keem. You know her. What if I just kind of said, hey, here's the total amount of cash we would be able to basically bring on this, right? And part of that's going to need to go to you for a commission, part of it to her as a down payment. And then I don't know, that might be better for you guys to sort out. That's worked really well for me on past deals like this, where they're like, that's kind of thin and it's hard to do a down payment. And then whether you guys split it or whatever that looks like, because the last thing I want to do is ask you to take less, but at the same time, it might not work for the seller. What do you think about that?
I don't think so, because I kind of talked her into it from using the OI that you guys said.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has that like purchase price and paying agent commission and closing costs and whatnot. So that OI got her interested in doing it creatively.
Okay.
So now that if I back out of it, like she may not want to do it. So I'm not sure, like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, understood. Okay. Yeah, I just got to look at it because it's a little more down than we were probably planning. But anyway, and apologies. Like, so we what we do, just give you a little bit of more insight. We basically blast that out to a lot of properties on the market because I just want to be able to have conversations with somebody who this can help for. But it's like automatically calculated based on the listing price and like the tax records and some of that. So sometimes it's not 100% accurate, but in this case, I don't think it's super far off, fortunately. So, but I can go back to I can kind of go rerun some numbers.
Okay.
Any other questions you could?
What do you need from me again?
If you can, you know what? Yeah, the closing costs. I actually don't think it really matters at this point, because it should be way cheaper. Essentially, we'll just be setting up an escrow and pull in a quick title policy. So yeah, we won't have to deal with all that stuff. So yeah, I think we're good on that. Yeah, I think we're good on my end. Now, let me just go do a little bit more of my homework and then I'll email you an updated. Basically, it's a one-pager LOI. It's more detailed than the first one though.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Awesome. Well, appreciate the call, Keem.
I get your name again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Casey Gregerson.
Okay.
I'll send you my contact info too. Okay. All right, man. Appreciate it. All right. See ya.